How to tell if it's real love or just a chemical crush. We're going to dive into this conversation today. Now, I'll be candid with you. This video was birthed out of a conversation I had with a friend of mine. And we were talking about the difference between dopamine love and serotonin love. Now, I want to be candid with you. What I'm about to share with you is my perceptions. This isn't based on facts, it's based on what I've read over the years, what I've experienced personally. So don't take this as a statement of science. This is just merely my perceptions. But when I was talking to her about the difference between dopamine love and serotonin love, I was reflecting upon how frequently women can be bombarded with by men something known as love bombing. And love bombing is that exaggerated expression of feelings towards someone, usually triggered by lust or limerence. Now, lust is pretty obvious, but I'll share it with you. It's that physical desire to connect with someone. And limerence oftentimes is an exaggerated infatuation with a person, oftentimes putting someone up on a pedestal. And when a man puts a woman up on a pedestal, or quite frankly, when a woman puts a man up on a pedestal, we can exaggerate our feelings about a person because we've now created a space where somebody represents greater value, greater worth than our own individual worth. And so if you're a man or woman, if you're a man watching this, have you love bombed a woman? Have you been exaggerated when it comes to your feelings towards someone? I know I have. I'm sure if you're a man watching this, you've experienced that. And if you're a woman watching this, I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but I'm going to suppose that you might have at least once experienced something that was an exaggerated feeling. So we're going to talk about what it feels like in your body to experience dopamine love or serotonin love. And serotonin love, at least the way I've observed it, comes from a place of something calm. It's not exaggerated. It's not butterflies in your stomach. In fact, you feel very grounded. You feel secure. So, what does dopamine feel like? It feels like I can't stop thinking about this person. I'm thinking about them constantly. You want them in your life. You literally can't be apart from them. You're almost experiencing it from a premise of you need to feel tethered to this person. Otherwise, now you're going to feel tethered because you feel that extreme excitement. You feel that sexual desire towards them. And dopamine is very much similar to crack cocaine or some other drug that's designed to get you high. And when you're experiencing that, there's a good chance this relationship might be starting off on the wrong foot. Now, I suspect you already know this, but if you're hearing this for the first time, be careful of the butterflies in the stomach. More importantly, be careful of wanting that type of feeling. In fact, in many cases, I've observed in the dating environment today, people are so desperately wanting that chemical rush, that dopamine hit, to believe that this might be someone worth pursuing. It might be someone worth investing in. And that's sadly because we've been indoctrinated to believe that attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection equals relationship success. If you've been watching my channel for a while, I talk about this incessantly. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of great first dates don't go anywhere, because there isn't this instant rush of lust or limerence, or worse, an insecure attachment towards another person. See, if you're not familiar with insecure love attachment, I highly recommend reading books like Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. Read the books Wired for Love by Dr. Stan Tatkin, or read the book Learning Love, Learning Love? Learning Love by Thais Gibson. Highly recommend checking out those books. All the books I recommend are listed below in the Jonathan Recommend books. See, what God, I keep saying oftentimes. Well, it's because it happens so frequently, it's often that people are experiencing an insecure attachment with another person, believing it's love. But what does serotonin-based love feel like? I know this because, folks, I'm experiencing this for the first time in my life. And that's why I wanted to get on this video to talk about this, because serotonin love feels like I can be myself and I can breathe. I can be myself and I can breathe. Now, the reason why I say I can be myself, it feels calm. It feels centered. I'm not climbing the walls. I'll be candid with you. In past relationships, when I was apart from someone, I was climbing the walls. I was feeling very anxious, believing that that was love. And so I want you to sit with your body and ask yourself the difference between the feeling of I can't stop thinking about them versus I can be myself and I can breathe. When you're experiencing serotonin love, it feels calm, it feels grounded, it feels present. You're not climbing, as I said earlier, you're not climbing the walls. That might be an exaggeration, but of course I've experienced that. So that's how it will feel inside your body. It'll feel calm, or it feels like anxiety. Now, you can ask yourself some questions right from the very beginning. You should ask yourself the following couple questions. Is this excitement or is this alignment? Can someone write that down? Is this excitement or is it alignment? You see, excitement has that over-exaggerated feeling to it. Alignment feels calm. What does alignment feel like? You share the same values. You have the same relationship vision. Your lifestyles are actually compatible with one another. And more importantly, you're beginning to observe behavior of emotional maturity. How do you recognize emotional maturity? How do you feel that you're in alignment with that? First, you have to look at your own life. Have you healed from your past relationships? Does fear, the past hurt, or even your fantasy of a relationship exceed your desire, your capacity, your vision for a relationship? See, sadly, I've witnessed so many men and women equally in spaces of still hung up on a past relationship, hurting from a past relationship, or maybe they have fantasy about what they can attract in a relationship. Our fantasies, which is our ego, our past hurts, and our fears can block our capacity to love. See, alignment comes from a very grounded place. Excitement comes from a fantasy perspective. Second question you may want to ask yourself, am I being pulled towards this person or am I choosing this person? I want you to sit with that for a second. Am I being pulled? Do I feel this pull towards this person? Or do I feel like I want to take a step forward towards this person? These are very nuanced feelings. This can be very tricky because when we're in a state of excitement, we believe it's real love when it could actually be an unhealthy chemical connect. Well, when I say unhealthy, dopamine isn't healthy or unhealthy, but it might not be grounded in real love. And then ask yourself this question. Do I feel anxiety or do I feel calm? I want you to think about, what does it feel like just hearing that? Just hearing the idea. You know, butterflies. What do you think about butterflies in your stomach? Oh my God, I want butterflies. I want butterflies. That's anxiety. What does calm feel like? It feels like you're standing on the ground. You feel secure. You want to be with this person, but you're not attached to the outcome. See, the minute we become attached to the outcome, we turn into crazy human beings. You may want to study Buddhism. The Buddhist philosophy is non-attachment. And they say, I believe they say, all suffering comes from an attachment to an outcome. So use those reflective prompts. I'm going to repeat that again. Is this excitement or is it alignment? Am I being pulled or am I choosing? Or lastly, do I feel anxiety or do I feel calm? Now, I want to share this with everybody because, as I said in the beginning of this broadcast, I'm experiencing what I believe is serotonin love. In fact, as we're speaking today, my sweetheart has been out of town for a week and I'm not climbing the walls. In fact, I'm not even missing her. Now, you might be going, well, Jonathan, you're not missing her while she's been out of town? See, when you're in a serotonin-based relationship, when you're in a secure relationship, missing comes from a place of fear. I don't fear this relationship. Would I like her in my presence? Absolutely. Would I like to hug her and kiss her? Absolutely. But because I feel grounded in this relationship, certainly I enjoyed speaking to her while she's been out of town, but I'm also doing my own life. You see, when you are in a secure, grounded, serotonin-based relationship, you appreciate this person is in your life. I want you to think about the word appreciation, how powerful that is. In fact, when you appreciate someone, you can certainly, I want to say, I do miss her, but I don't miss her. I don't know if that's making sense. Like, while I would like her in my presence, while I miss our conversations, certainly, I'm also living in my sovereignty. It's something I talk about in my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. Again, my book is listed below, selflovethebook.com. When you're in a grounded place, you appreciate the person in your life. You come from a heart-centered place of appreciating them. How did this happen? Let me just be candid with you. On our first date, there wasn't off-the-charts chemistry. In fact, we weren't really each other's type. But we got to know each other on both an intellectual and emotional level. And during the course of 10 days of phone calls, we began seeing the alignment between the two of us. We liked the way each other thought. We asked each other these deep probing questions because we weren't attached to the outcome of dating. We just wanted to get to know each other as human beings. You know, sadly, dating today, most humans do a terrible job or a poor job of actually getting to know another human being, getting to know, how do they feel about certain things? I think it's important to talk about your past, talk about, how did you get to where you are today? How did you get to where you are today? And find out everything about their past relationships, about their family of origin, about their professional life till the point you met them. See, I want you to think about something. For those of us that are in our 50s or 60s, we've had 50 years or 60 years of life before meeting someone. I know I had 60 years of life before I met my beloved. There's a whole life she knows nothing about. So I think and she has a whole life. By the way, she's in her 60s as well. She'll kill me for saying that. But she has a whole life. And I think we have to, how do we know where someone is at today if we don't know their past? So talking about, how did we get here today? Talking about where we are today. How do we feel about each other in the moment? And most importantly, for those that have a long-term mating strategy, it's critically important to talk about, where do you want to go in this relationship? And that's what we do quite a bit with each other. In fact, we spend quite a bit of time talking about, how did we get here? Where are we? And where do we want to go together? In fact, we spend more time in the latter two than we do the first, because we did our due diligence with one another. I know about her marriage. I know about her 2 previous relationships before me. She knows about my marriage and my 2 previous relationships. In fact, I have a new theory. 4th time is the charm. I had my 3 relationships before meeting my beloved. How many of you have had 3 relationships and are still looking? I'm going to tell you, 4th time is the charm. How do you really know if it's love or a chemical crush? I want you to think about this way. I want you to sit in stillness. Sit in stillness. Really check in with your heart. Really check in with your heart. If you can say from a calm place, wow, I really love this person. Wow, I trust this person. Wow, they're my best friend. Wow, they want to build a life with me. Wow, we have amazing physical intimacy. If you can say all of that from a calm, grounded place, then there's a good chance you might be experiencing love. See, sadly, many of us experience storms in relationship, that anxiety, those butterflies, all those things that create agitation within ourselves. And when we're experiencing that, we can convince ourselves this is love. And what happens during that space of dopamine, love? We overlook red flags. We turn red flags and paint them green. We wear rose-colored glasses. We miss all the cues when we're not operating from a grounded, calm, secure place. Listen, I would love it if I could wave a magic wand for everyone watching and I could say you could experience this. This didn't happen to either one of us overnight. It took a tremendous amount of personal development, self-help, spiritual work, and therapy to get to a place where we could feel grounded within ourselves. Remember I said earlier about self-love? Self-love is the grounding space to enter into a romantic relationship if you want a juicy, delicious, healthy, happy relationship. See, transactional relationships are a dime a dozen. People experiencing today, there's lots of hooking up. There's certainly friends with benefits. There's lots of situationships. There's almost the majority of relationships today are casual that are non-married. And those serious relationships, they have a plan. And you know when that plan begins? Roughly about 3 to 6 months into a relationship. If you've reached the 3 to 6 month mark and you're not talking about a future together, there's a good chance you might have experienced a dopamine rush to enter into a relationship. You might be stuck in a relationship that's misaligned. And let me tell you, for the women watching this, men can be very lazy. They nest into mediocre relationships. And so the guys listening to this, I'm inviting you to step up your game and start studying the books that are behind me, to start really exploring a relationship from a more heart-centered, grounded place. And as I said before, those relationships that have massive friendship, have amazing romance and intimacy, and also are leading through a grounded partnership, those are the relationships that have the greatest chance for success. And they can step into serotonin-based love versus that dopamine. And if you want to do some research on it, Google dopamine-based love or serotonin-based love. And you'll find, I think you might find that you would prefer to have a serotonin-based love. And as I said before, it's calm, it's grounded, it's secure. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? I'd like to hear your thoughts on what I just shared. Do me a favor, post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me. Join my group. Follow me on social media. Get all the books I recommend, all listed below. All right, those who know my live format know it's time for Q&A. If you have a question, there's a little chat box in the corner. Write the word question, then post the question thereafter. Or you could purchase a super sticker, super chat. There's a little dollar sign in the chat box. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Aslay. That's a picture of him right there. He's my son who passed away over 7 years ago now. And in his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process Insight Institute and scholarships to coaching as well. And our goal tonight is $50. So we'd appreciate some love. Thanks so much. I see Angela's in the house. And she wrote down, how can a woman know if a man who is love bombing her at the beginning is healthy or unhealthy? Well, I think just merely by the fact that he's love bombing is a good chance that it's unhealthy. I think if it's, you have to kind of ask yourself, does his actions seem exaggerated in relationship to how long you've known each other? Listen, being excited is a good thing. I was excited with my beloved after we kissed. But there was a level of pacing that mirrored her pacing in the relationship. If the pacing is exaggerated, if he's climbing to the highest room of the tallest tower to gain your affection, it might be love bombing or it might be unhealthy. And by the way, the best way to know, Angela, is how does it feel to you? Does it feel calm? Does it feel grounded? Or does it feel exaggerated? Those would be a couple things I would pay attention to. William says, I'm jealous of all the people that have never come across your stream. I'm curious, why are you jealous of the people that have not come across my stream? Let's see what else you had to say. You look like the kind of guy that eats Taco Bell secretly in his Prius so that your wife won't find out. Well, that's kind of an interesting statement. Are you a part-time comedian? Haven't been to Taco Bell in ages, and I drive X1, by the way. All right, let's see what Victoria has to say. I ended my 10-month relationship 3 weeks ago due to misalignment and lack of emotional intimacy. It started with excitement, but soon turned into constant anxiety, never felt truly calm. And here's her question, okay? Question. I'm healing now and planning to do the Hoffman process in person in UK for the first time. I feel truly done with my unhealthy patterns. Any recommendations? Well, I just want to give props to Victoria. The Hoffman process. This is a deep dive into healing your childhood wounds and adult traumas. Deep dive. You go through your family of origin. This is, if you do the live event, it's a 1-week experience. You know what? I'm going to put the book down. I want to share something. Going through this experience, I walked away feeling like what it feels like to be wrapped in a blanket of self-love. So what other thing, what's your other question? Any other recommendations? No, doing that is fantastic. In the meantime, I would do the questionnaire. By the way, when you fill out the forms to sign up to the Hoffman process, the questionnaire takes literally 10 hours to complete. But Jonathan, 10 hours seems like a very long time. For anyone that would say that, I'm going to tell you, if you're not willing to invest thousands of hours in your emotional growth and at least a minimum of an hour a day every day in your emotional growth, your individual growth, your spirituality, healing. If you're not willing to invest that, I promise you, you will have a mediocre relationship. And in fact, you might even have a toxic relationship if you're not willing to invest in yourself. I know that's a bit crass and projections on my part, but I'm going to say what you invest in yourself comes back tenfold. When you invest healthy into yourself, it comes back tenfold. Okay. Suzanne's in the house. Question: when did you kiss your beloved? All right. Well, I got to tell you the backstory, okay? So we met on a dating app. We met on 3 separate dating apps. We first met on Bumble about 10 months before we physically met. We exchanged some text messages. It didn't go anywhere. Then about 4 months later, we connected on Match.com. We had 1 or 2 exchanges, didn't go anywhere. And then about 6 months after, or 5 months after that, we connected on Hinge. So Bumble, Match.com, and Hinge. Okay. All right. So, so here's my thought. Oh, by the way, if anyone wants to join the Love Seat, click this link. I forgot to put that there. All right, so keep going. So we ended up getting on the phone, speaking. She said something to me. I want to read this to everyone. She said the following to me, which I saved. And this is what got me to call her. She said, I'm a curious soul, pretty much all things in life, and thrive on the inquiry of it all. I believe those who don't ask questions lack not only awareness, but quite possibly imagination. And I read that and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in so much agreement. People who don't ask questions not only lack self-awareness, but lack imagination. So that got me to have a phone call with her, okay? So we end up speaking on the phone for 3 hours. It turned out about an hour and a half in, we had mutual friends. We each have mutual friends. And so that kind of sparked the connection between the two of us. And then we decided to meet for coffee. We met at a really nice hotel in the marina. We met for coffee. We ended up having a 5-hour meeting, but there was no attraction between us. It was kind of flat. We had a great conversation. I mean, we were talking about the nooks and crannies about dating and relationships, our beliefs around courtship and masculine and feminine energy. We got into all these rabbit hole conversations, but we weren't each other's type. We spoke on the phone 2 days later and we're like, what happened? Like, what happened between us? And we spent the next 10 days unpacking why we didn't have attraction. We ended up having all these amazing conversations. And I became more and more interested in her. So much so that I said, we should see each other. Well, actually, she initiated the let's see each other again. I fully agreed. And I said, look, I'm having feelings towards you. And she said the same thing. So I went to go meet her after coming home from a funeral I went to. And when I walked in the door, I literally had this energy, and we had built up over 40 hours of conversations on the phone. I had so much connection towards her that I just planted a kiss on her. It was an innocent kiss, but I felt it was receptive. So technically on our second meeting, we kissed. But then all of a sudden, the sparks started to fly between us and things grew from there. So it was our second meeting. The first time we met was the first meeting. The second meeting, we kissed. And then we went on an official date a week after that. So thanks for that question. I hope that answered your question, Suzanne. Thanks so much. All right. Victoria wants to point out she's reading the book. She's reading the book, The Hoffman Process. That's wonderful. I got an ant on my computer. What's going on here? Stacy says, great advice tonight. I wonder what happened to that William guy. Okay. Mariel, I met a wonderful man. I met a wonderful man and the feelings are calm and exciting. It's so easy to get along and communicate. He moves at my pace. Lots of green flags. Question. Why does it feel like it's almost too good to be true? Is it because of the bad past experiences? Great question. You know, I think you've nailed it. I think there's a good chance that your past hurts affects our ability to properly evaluate someone when we felt like we've been hurt in the past. So, and quite frankly, in some ways I can relate to it feels too good to be true. I mean, all I know is this feels so grounded, so secure, so calm that it's almost foreign. In fact, I keep saying, I've said this to her before, like, I'm so used to involuntary love that when it feels voluntary, when it's a choice, when it's grounded, I almost have to pinch myself because I'm waiting for the shoe to drop kind of thing. So Mariel, I can, I hope I'm pronouncing, I hope that I've described, is probably what you're feeling. And I think what's most important, that you just stay in your lane, be grateful, really focus on gratitude, be in a state of gratitude, be intentional about your words, be in integrity with your words. Hopefully you guys will talk about a future together. How long you've been seeing each other? It doesn't say how long you've been seeing each other. Why don't you let me know how long you've been seeing each other? Okay. All right. And then we'll follow up with it from there. Angela wants to know, was your beloved your only option and candidate for a relationship while you were looking for love? I feel like I've gone on 10,000 first dates. Now, that isn't the number, but I would say from the time my last significant relationship ended, I've had at least 5 or 6 first meetings in a 2-year period of time. Lots of clicks on dating apps, her included. I feel like I have options. I mean, I don't feel short of options. And you know what? But it didn't matter because once we connected, I just wanted to pursue one person. I'm a big believer in only dating one person at a time. I think it gets kind of muddy when it's multiple people at the same time. That's just me. You have to do what's right for you. Hey, is this resonating with you? I'd love it if you donate to the Connor Aslay Scholarship Fund. And Suzanne wants to say thank you for the backstory. You're very welcome, Suzanne. I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to give it a minute. Hey, does anyone want to join the love seat? Click the link. We can have a conversation live. We can talk about whatever you'd like. Okay, Longing for Waves is here. She has a question. What's your take on long-term relationships? Yes or no? What's your take on long-term? Yes or no? Yes, under what circumstances? Hey, my whole channel is based on life partnership-based relationships. So I'm a big believer when you have a long-term mating strategy, you operate so different. A short-term mating strategy is just for the pleasure of it, and oftentimes to relieve loneliness. A long-term mating strategy is about finding a life mate. So I'm a big proponent about people that are choosing life mate-based relationships. Mario's come back. I'm butchering your name. I apologize. It's only been 3 weeks, but it feels like we've known each other forever. Yes, it's foreign feeling, as you say. Well, 3 weeks is still a little early. 3 weeks is still a little bit early. When you've been together 3 months, that's usually a good sign, 3 months. And it looks like Longing Waves jumped back in and says she meant long distance relationships. Sorry. All right, what's my take on long distance relationships? Couple things. First off, depends on the distance, but if you have to get on an airplane, you have to take into factor finances in a long distance relationship. However, if you're going to engage in a long distance relationship, I would want to have a clear understanding of what the long-term game plan is about one or the other moving to the other place to live or area to live. I recommend seeing each other depending on the distance, if you have to get on an airplane, at a minimum twice a month. Well, at least once a month at a minimum, and at least spend a week of time together. I know a lot of people would say we can't do that, but and if you're driving distance, I would say at a minimum twice a month, minimum. By the way, people that live around the corner don't survive relationships, and they can see each other all the time. Relationships are built through social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, certainly traveling together, teamwork, building skills, both in your personal and your professional life, and intimacy, both physical and intimate, emotional and physical intimacy. You need to have a variety of different circumstances to build the deep roots of trust needed to withstand the storms that every relationship is going to have. So those are just some. So be intentional. Make sure you have the resources to do it. Make sure you have a plan. Make sure that you're aligned with each other before you invest in that type of relationship. And Angela, that's what I think of long distance relationships. Angela comes back. Did you date women from different countries? Well, I mean, my last relationship, she was born in Colombia but raised here in the United States. How many women? I don't think I've been in a significant relationship with someone that was born in another country. Most have been born in the United States. So I'm pretty sure, but I'm sure I've gone on dates with women from another country, but haven't had a significant relationship. Enhance is in the house. I've been married 7 years and we're still excited about each other. It was long distance relationship and we're very clear on our plan. We had to fly. See, they had a plan. By the way, my nose is itching. I haven't seen my long distance boyfriend since I met him over a year ago. I still have hope. He's very busy and lost his mother. I'm sorry, it was about to last. I don't think you're in a long distance relationship. You're in a long distance cyber relationship. And that's what you're in. You're in a telephonic text messaging relationship. You're not in a traditional day in, day out relationship. Okay. But if you're asking for some advice, I know you're still holding hope, but I suspect that hope is based on fear or fantasy. Can someone write that down? That hope is usually based on fear or fantasy. It's probably not based in a grounded space of genuine trust that, as I said before, trust is built through social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, building skills, both in your personal and your professional life, intimacy, both physical and emotional intimacy is usually required. I say usually, but you're in a long distance cyber relationship. You might make sure that you add the cyber part because of the lack of physical connection with one another. Does anyone have any thoughts on this? I'd like to hear your thoughts on what I just shared. All right. Angela wants to point out it's much easier to ghost someone if you're in a different country. Well, it's easy to ghost someone anywhere, but yes, you have a built-in exit clause with that. All right, we have another question from Make Me Toronto Star. Make Meet Toronto Star. I'm just kidding. All right, question. How can I hint for my coworker to ask me out? He started several conversations with me with small talk, sat beside me at Christmas event, smiled and waved. Why don't you just ask him for coffee, join you for coffee one day? Instead of hinting, why don't you just say, hey, would you like to grab a coffee after work one day? On me. You can even say on me as my treat. But Jonathan, that's going to disrupt the delicate balance between the masculine and feminine, and that will emasculate a man if a woman says, let's go have coffee. I'm being intentionally rhetorical, but just simply ask him to go join you for coffee one day and talk. And you could end by saying, I like you. I like you. I like you. Try that. Mario says, hope is usually based on fear or fantasy, not genuine trust. Exactly. Because every man I ever asked out was embarrassed and they rejected me, or it was a mess. Well, let me just tell you something. If it's sincere and from the heart, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. If you are speaking sincere and from your heart, I'm just curious why you choose men that are so, I mean, are they that? What's their problem? When you say they rejected you, it might mean that they had someone else in their life. It might mean they're hung up on someone else. There's a variety of different things. Or as you say, it was a mess. But I'd say if this person wants to, if you invite him to coffee and he's intimidated by that, you don't want him anyway. You don't want him anyway. If it's sincere and from the heart, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Stacy's in the house. We haven't seen you for a while. What about if the man works away for work? 2 weeks gone, 2 weeks home. Common schedule in the oil industry, Canada. Also common for them to cheat online. I mean, I guess you got to ask yourself, what kind of relationship do I want? Do I want a day in, day out relationship? 2 weeks gone, 2 weeks at home kind of could be almost like a fireman that is, and now, so I don't see a problem with that if you get to spend regular time together. If you're talking about, I mean, if you decide to explore a long-term relationship, then you have conversations. But yes, that is common for them to cheat. But when we say common, is it 20% of people like that cheat? I don't know what it is, but I get it. Make Me Toronto Star comes back and says, I'm too scared, too embarrassed. I want him to ask me out or else to hint. You know, my specialty is not the flirting techniques. I'm sure there are other people out there. I'm more of the real love type of person. You know, speak from your heart. You know, if you're scared, then do what's uncomfortable. Do what's uncomfortable and just say, hey, I'd love to get coffee with you one day, my treat. Here's the thing. If you're too scared to do that, then what are you going to be scared about in a relationship? If the simplest thing scares you, imagine the complicated things, how much they're going to scare you. That's just my take on that anyway. Stacy wants to point out, thank you, J.A. Yes, long-term only. Exactly. I'm a big proponent for long-term relationships, not short-lived relationships. Hey, does anyone want to join the love seat? I'm posting a link right here. Ba, ba, ba. Longing for waves. What indicates about emotional availability when you've just started dating? The person I'm connecting to talks a lot about big ideas and work, but rarely about emotional topics like family or his past. Good chance if a person is unwilling to talk about their past relationships or about their family, they probably have not resolved things from their past. Could be an indication of weak emotional maturity. If he's talking about work and big ideas, could also represent poor relationship skills. People with good relationship skills, good communication skills, and strong emotional maturity are unafraid to talk about their past, because the past is prologue. If you're afraid to talk about the past, if that's too complicated, listen, I have a son who passed away. I have no problem talking about him quite a bit. I have no problem talking about quite a bit. That's because I have grounded emotional maturity somewhat. And believe me, I'm not diminishing anyone's pain over the loss. But when you come to a place of acceptance and healing, it's not difficult. In fact, we want to talk about our past when we come to, I believe, when we come to a place of healing and acceptance. Angela just jumped back in. I read that you can say to a man, if you want to invite me one day, I will say yes. Oh, that's, I forgot about that. I had a woman once say to me, if you invited me to coffee, I'd say yes. But I'm more bold. I would love to see women be empowered and not have to do it, covertly. Just be upfront. By the way, being upfront is how you build trust with another person. Being instead of covert, in my opinion. Enhance says men want to be hit on too. Exactly. Men want to be hit on too. Make me trans. I just had some good experience. I had some good experiences relationship when the man pursued me. It's in the book. He's just not that into you. I can give you a dozen stories of women who did the initiating and they're happily in love. And I can tell you a billion stories of men who pursued and women are unhappy. Okay, not a billion. I can tell you a million stories of where men pursued and women are miserable. But I will tell you, I know a lot of stories where the woman made the overture and they're in fantastic relationships. My coworker asked him out and he rejected her, but in a roundabout way. By the way, he may not want to date someone he works with, there's an old saying, you don't shit where you eat. So that might be his reason for rejecting. And I guess for you, how long do you want to have this? Do you have a crush on him? I mean, do you have a crush on someone you really don't know that well? Just ask him out for coffee. Build a friendship. Don't date. Build a friendship. That's what I'm suggesting to you. Build a stronger friendship. And if something is birthed from that, great. If it's not, don't be attached to an outcome, because that's only going to give you grief in the long run, being attached to an outcome. All right, let's see what else we've got here. If you have a question, write the word question and post the question thereafter. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. Okay. We made small talk. He started almost all the conversations. You know what? If he thinks there's potential for a relationship, he'll ask you out. And if not, you stay in your lane then. If you're not willing to ask him out for coffee, then stay in your lane. Because even if you give a little hint, like if you ask me out for coffee, I'd say yes. It seems like you're going to be fearful of, and I'm telling you, there's no magic phrase that's going to get him to do something. You either ask him out, because he may not be interested in dating someone at his workplace. Just be aware of that. Okay. You could do what Angela says. Maybe we should go out one day. Again, I'm just simply saying, how about we go out for coffee? All right. Ludu said, did you give her a ring yet? Okay. Now talking about my relationship. You know, it's interesting. I had lunch with my oldest and dearest friend this past weekend. And he asked me, do you think you would ask her to marry you? And it's interesting because I was reflecting upon my last relationship where I wanted to marry her. And I realized the reason why I wanted to marry her was because I was afraid she wasn't all in. And I talked about marriage a couple times, and she kind of was like, "Oh, I don't want to get married." Third time, you know, she'd been married twice before. She didn't want to do it again. So I realized in my last relationship, I wanted to get married out of a place of fear. Now I want to come from a place of joy. And I mean, we're already talking, just to give you some heads up, we're already talking about living together. We keep sending each other Zillow ads of properties to look at. We send them back and forth to one another. I do envision us living together, and I suspect, you know, we probably will do a spiritual marriage. We don't believe in having a relationship with the government. So I think that's a possibility, but I would venture to say, I'm going to guess there's a good chance I might be married within the next couple of years. I do know this. I believe I'm going to be with this person till one of ours is last breath together. I believe that's the case. I believe we built the deep roots of trust, and we have talked about a future together from a very grounded, calm place. And I do believe that's the case. And Suzanne, just to give you a heads up, we've been together. We're going on to our 6th month together. So God, I can't believe it's almost been 6 months. So yeah. All right, Enhanced is in the house. Question, would people rather live and have loved or never have loved someone? Take a chance. I think most people believe in love. I think even men believe in love. I do believe that. I believe most people with loved and lost versus never loved at all. I do believe that. How do you know if someone is emotionally ready for a serious relationship? Great question. Let me just give you a clue. Their desire, capacity, and vision for a relationship exceeds their fears, their past hurts, and their fantasy about relationship. And this is where you have to be a detective to do the deep questioning work. That's what I teach in my private coaching. If you want help with that, schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. That's what I teach, how to vet for emotional maturity. Angela says, what do you do if other women are interested in your man? I don't think you need to do anything. I mean, you don't need to do anything. If he's sincere, he's not interested. If he's insincere, there's nothing you can do about it. But then do you want to be with a person who's insincere? You know, so I don't think you need to do anything about it. In fact, be proud. Women want my man. I'm sure my sweetheart says that every once in a while. But she doesn't need to worry about it because I give her enough attention, affection, appreciation that she doesn't have to worry about it. And if you have to worry about it, then there's something wrong in your relationship. And I would work on that piece than thinking that you need to do something about it. I mean, you need to do something internally about it. Enhance comes back. How do people set healthy boundaries without pushing people away? If it's sincere and from the heart, speak from your heart. Tell them what's okay and what's not okay for you. And if it pushes someone away, and it's sincere and from the heart, they're not the right person for you. You want them to run away. Holly wants to point out, I love the idea of a spiritual marriage. Hey, folks, I think this will be a great place to wrap up today. Hey, did you find value in our conversation? Is it real love or just a chemical crush? I hope you did. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what I just shared. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, hey, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. Follow me on social media. Get the books I recommend. Get my dating vows, all listed below. All right, I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, give myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Barrick of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow. Give it or them a hug of love because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. Thanks a bunch. Oh, and I want to thank everyone who commented tonight. Big hugs to you all. Wishing you all super duper wonderful evening. Be well. Thanks. Bye now. Bye, Angela. Bye, everyone. Thanks.